31 migrants slated to get the boot didn't because 27 are awaiting benefits and the remaining 4 were because of disabilities.
And now we're finding out that they're part of a pattern, a robbery and grand larceny pattern.
Today, the NYPD is taking action, but ICE officials tell us that when it comes to migrants committing crime,
pretty sophisticated robbery ring, I should say. Now, I did check in with police this morning who tell me they have.
In the NYPD, will partner with each other to pursue those who break the laws in our city.
Migrant repeat offenders. A crew of Venezuelan migrants with rap sheets allegedly pounds on New York's finest after getting caught red-handed stealing from an Upper East Side Target, and most of them are now back on the streets. 4 of the 5 repeat offenders busted in the brazen April 2 crime, which sent one cop to the hospital, were released without bail by a Manhattan judge, according to court records and law enforcement sources. The accused criminals were part of a crew of 6 that allegedly yanked $82 in items off displays in the store on 3rd Avenue near East 70th Street around 6:50 p.m. The thieves left a trail of destruction as they grabbed a backpack from a shelf, cut off its security tag, and then moved from aisle to aisle, stuffing it with goods, including a gaming light, tools, and assorted grub such as Fruit Loops, Frosted Flakes, Doritos, strawberries, and bottled waters, according to sources and a criminal complaint. When responding cops from the NYPD's 19th precinct stopped the shoplifters in their tracks, 2 of the suspects, Yusnebi Machado, 23 years old, and Brian Frietes, 21, wrestled, shoved, slapped, and pushed them in an attempt to resist, according to sources. They were arraigned before Manhattan Criminal Court Judge Jay Weiner and treated with kid gloves. Machado was cut loose without bail under supervised release, despite a request from prosecutors that she be held on $10,000 bail. Prosecutors asked that Frietes be held on $10,000 bail or a $30,000 bond, and Weiner ordered him held on $3,000 bail or a $9,000 bond. He was still at Rikers Island on Tuesday. The alleged partner in crime, Sebastian Jaramillo, 22 years old, Michael Sanchez, 31, and Henry Zambrano, 19, were also arrested and charged by cops with robbery and disorderly conduct, police said. All 3, who lived at the Wards Island shelter per sources, were later arraigned on petite larceny and possession of stolen property charges and released without bail. It is not clear if they returned to the shelter after they were released. Both of the accused attackers have rap sheets, with sources saying Machado, pictured in a mug shot with a broken heart tattoo on her neck, was busted January 18 for trespassing at a migrant shelter she'd been discharged from. She was also charged with assault Sunday for a March 28 incident in which she allegedly scratched a 34-year-old woman during an argument on East 124th Street, sources said. Frietes was charged with several incidents after being arrested at the Target, including a trespassing incident from January for refusing to leave a migrant shelter after being kicked out, according to the sources. He was also charged in another shoplifting case from December 21, 2023, in which he allegedly made off with $286 worth of merchandise from a Richmond Hill department store, sources said. Jaramillo was charged with attack in October for allegedly slugging a 42-year-old man in the face at Grand Central Terminal, sources and records show. He was busted again for petite theft the following month and then grand larceny on March 8. Sanchez, meanwhile, has petite larceny arrests on December 17 and December 28, 2023, a robbery charge from January, another petite larceny charge on March 18, and a robbery and domestic arrest on March 21. Target workers told the Post on Tuesday that some of their colleagues had witnessed the group grabbing items and stuffing them in a book bag, and that cops were only trying to escort the suspected shoplifters out when they were attacked. One of them shoved the cop and it was going back and forth with them and the cops, one employee said. A street vendor named Terrence, who peddles his wares outside the department store, said roving gangs of migrants have become a regular nuisance on the block.
And now we're finding out that they're part of a pattern, robbery and grand larceny pattern.
Steve and Natasha, we've been hearing for a while now about a group of migrants connected to a string of robberies.
And they still have problems with permit because they don't honor the rules or the laws here.
In the NYPD, will partner with each other to pursue those who break the laws in our city.
They're walking in groups and doing their stuff in groups, he said. They're moving in a gang-like behavior. I came here as a migrant, he added. I didn't behave like that. I washed windows. I never stole anything. I don't agree with that. I got business too and they stole from me. Socks, caps, long john sets. NYPD Commissioner Edward Caban acknowledged that migrant crime in the Big Apple can stroke fear among locals, but called it a case of perception versus reality. The NYPD understands that people come to New York City to build a better life for themselves and their families, Caban told NBC. They themselves are the American dream. But having said that, if you commit a crime in New York City, if you break the law, we will hold you accountable, he said. Right now, we do have some pockets of migrant crime.
That if you commit a felony, a violent act, we should be able to turn you over to ICE and have you deported.
They're using stolen mopeds to ride up behind innocent New Yorkers to steal their cell phones, their purses.
Pretty sophisticated robbery ring, I should say. Now, I did check in with police this morning who tell me they have
commits a crime against a police officer in the state of New York. And they're not, they've not processed, they're not here legally.
The target attack on the cop follows a mob assault on 2 officers in Times Square in January that shocked the city. No job is routine. No call for service is routine. Deputy Inspector Neil Zuber, commanding officer of the NYPD's 19th precinct, told neighbors who gathered later that night for the precinct's community council meeting, according to the Upper East Side. Every time these officers respond, they're confronted with a crime. They're gonna do everything they can to make that arrest.
We are nonetheless preying on New Yorkers and making our city less safe.
Today, the NYPD is taking action, but ICE officials tell us that when it comes to migrants committing crime.
The poll also found many Americans are concerned about immigration as it relates to crime, as you just heard. We're examining the facts on that.
Those who are committing crimes, like what we witnessed of the assault of police officers.
Complexities of immigration. Chicago has begun evicting some migrants from its shelters, a controversial policy that had been delayed for months but appeared haphazard. Migrants who have been evicted and those facing a rapidly approaching deadline have said there has been widespread confusion about the process and frustration with being forced to leave, while they still lack the resources to find their own places to stay. In the first 2 days of enforcement, fewer than 10 migrants have been evicted from their shelters, according to the city. 5 migrants were forced to leave Monday because of the policy, while 3 were evicted Sunday. Franklin Romero, 29 years old, a Venezuelan migrant, said that someone told him at the Woodlawn shelter just 1 day before that he had to leave by 2 p.m. Monday. He felt disrespected by being rushed to leave the place he called home for months. The city has sought to limit shelter stays to 60 days for more than 10,000 migrants, requiring them to find housing or apply for other shelter at the city's landing zone for new arrivals after their exit dates arrive. The evictions also come amid a measles outbreak at one of the shelters. Thousands of migrants, including families with children, have been given extensions. On Friday, the city said that nearly 36 people would be evicted from their shelter Sunday, but by the evening it said 31 migrants receive extensions because of the exemptions, which include enrollment in public benefits, pregnancy or infant care, medical isolation and quarantine, as well as having families with children under 18. City officials also said Friday that 2,026 people would be evicted from their current shelters by the end of April. Enforcement has postponed 3 times because of extreme winter weather, staffing concerns, and backlash from advocates and some elected officials.
Home shelter evictions have started for some migrants in Chicago, but there's been some confusion over who has to go.
and who are going to be kicked out of the only roof they've had over their head when they came to the States.
31 migrants slated to get the boot didn't because 27 are awaiting benefits and the remaining 4 were because of disability.
Volunteer Maria Perez, a member of the Southwest Collective, a collection of groups providing social services, said the extensions do not solve the bigger problem of a lack of resources for the migrants to obtain work and housing they can afford. She said that 30 more days is not enough time and they need the tools to set them up in order for them to succeed in this community. Mayor Brandon Johnson's administration has said the policy is needed to decompress some shelters, especially 3 that house single migrants, including the Woodlawn facility. Cristina Pacion Zayas, the mayor's deputy chief of staff, said at a recent briefing that by encouraging resettlement while also providing case-specific extensions with a focus on health and safety, we are advancing a pathway to stability and self-sufficient. Romero went to the landing zone Monday to seek placement at another shelter, but after his new exit day was processed, he still didn't know where he was being placed. The city said in a statement Monday evening, those exiting have the option to return to the landing zone and be reprocessed and placed in shelter once again if appropriate beds are available or opt for onward movement. Venezuelan migrant Yorman Yepes and his friend Romero are facing eviction from their shelter in the U.S. due to the policy that requires them to leave their place of residence. Yepes believes the policy disrupts friendships and camaraderie among shelter residents who come to the U.S. without knowing anyone in the country. Migrants at the former Wadsworth Elementary School in Woodlawn have expressed concerns about the lack of cots and rooms and the potential for forced eviction. Romero, who lost his job helping to remodel a home due to his eviction, now has 60 more days before facing eviction again. That's all for this video, folks. See you next time.